All right, so this is Cain and Abel test 1. I've clicked record and record. Counter is started. All right, now I don't really know where the settings are. I'm going to look. Settings. I'm going to hope it's okay. We're at 31 seconds at this point. All right, the very first slide. So, well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. This is Dan, you're a political junkie. I've enjoyed politics ever since I was a kid in grammar school, and Jack Kennedy got elected. He was a great man, and he liked to have fun. So simply, here we go. So Trump has announced repeatedly, and he's bragging about it, that he was brought up to be a killer. Now, usually, if you're brought up to be a killer, it's an indication there's something wrong with the household. And I know we got a lot of talk about being a Christian nation, and I really got to ask, I mean, and there's a lot of talk about the violence. So do we really need, another killer with all this violence? And I'm just wondering what this killer thing means anyway. I hear people talk about making America great again, even though I'm not quite sure what that meant. We've had some really great days, some trying days. I believe, the best is still ahead. But, so just what is a killer? It's like, and, I've heard of the American dream and talk of it, but I've also heard of the Budweiser promise. I mean, just what is it? So I have to encourage everyone to check out some of the links. People I thank for helping me in my little research project, because I love trying to have some background into what my political beliefs are. So, I just, again, this flip-flopping that we got a politician who leaves it is so unclear, so vague in a statement that he easily flip-flops, and you can interpret whatever you think he said, however you want it to be. But I think a little some specificity, if that's a word, is called for. I really like, I know we all know the story of Cain and Abel, and of course, and you may want to, read that up on that story, what you can from the Bible, and we know that when the Lord asked Cain where Abel was, Cain said, I don't know, and he asked, what am I, my brother's keeper? Well, there may be, an answer on that. Let's continue on, and again, please reference the links, and we say thank you to those that we use. And again, now, I mean, if we're Christian, the question is, are we your brother's keepers? In fact, really, philosophically, if not religiously or as a belief system, as human beings, are we our brother's keepers? You know, we may want to think about that. And again, it's like, as an example, we have many social safety net programs, like the Medicare, food stamps, child protection. You know, we're supposed to assure a child is brought up in a safe household. We also want to be protected against pedophiles. And, you know, we have had private sector like Project 2025 people, Wall Streeters, investors. They want to come along and supposedly they tell us they're going to do a better job of running prisons than the public sector does. So, I mean, please comment on that. How do you think the for-profit jails are doing? I mean, as compared to, you know, the public sector. We'll continue on. Now, actually, of course, I need to ask myself, how am I doing with the Ten Commandments? And, well, I basically, I could be doing better, but there was a time in my life when I was younger that I was doing a lot worse. So, but still, you know, it's a good idea for any of us to look in the mirror before we go judge people. But life can be complicated, I have to believe. Now, here is a good one, an example, I think, of just how life is not always all that easier. Let us stop passing judgment on one another from the Bible. And this is Romans 14:13. Don't put obstacles in the way of another. Well, I mean, I've got some political ideas or questions, but I also found it very interesting what David Pecker, National Enquirer, and, you know, the so-called leader, with the fake news they publish about some of the other Republican presidential candidates way back in 2016. I mean, is that really, you know, a Christian thing to do? Is that a good sign? You know, were any of the commandments broken? Well, you know, I think they were, but, you know, you decide. And we can continue. About freedom, Galatians 5:13. Freedom is not an opportunity for self-indulgence, but an opportunity to become slaves to one another. Now, actually, I don't know so much, but I think to humbly serve one another is at least my interpretation on that. And by the way, I have to think we're very blessed. Our founding fathers, right in the preamble of our Constitution, talked about domestic tranquility, okay, provide for common defense, of course, and to promote the general welfare. So, in other words, we don't need a lot of homeless, a lot of sick. Generally, you know, people should be well. And we know that we also had a president, I believe it was John Adams, pointed out you don't want to have anyone so disenfranchised that they become rabble, because they'll be dissatisfied and be troublemakers. So, and we also had a quote from somebody: may we think of freedom not as a right to do as we please, but as an opportunity to do what is right. And of course, I think that would be good statesmanship. What do you think? Is that what we should have in a statesman, or do we just want a businessman who, as long as he's making his money, he's happy? Something to think about. Continue it on. Whole bunch of questions. Now, Romans 16:17, about people who are always creating division. Well, again, the mending the fences, bringing people together is, I think, the best public policy for our country, and et cetera. And now it's also, as we listen to anyone expressing their ideas, every salesman, whatever, really, is it wise to blindly accept the claims of another? Do we let emotion overrule our common sense? As adults, do we have a responsibility to scrutinize and investigate matters pertaining to our own well-being and the safety of loved ones? And of course, parents are charged with that responsibility. And politics are principle. I'm of a belief that politics is self-interest, and principle addresses, the common good, trying to do what's fair for everyone. And, when I was in college, and we'd have to write a term paper, it was always critical that we included references from reliable sources, so that the information that we were putting together to make our case was, of value. So now, actually, and also when when people create divisions and create a doubt, what does that do to our individual serenity, peace of mind, and whether or not, we can enjoy life? And simply, some of the things that have gone on recently, like from the Supreme Court, well, and do you think the president's above the law? If you do, I tell you, as I understand it, Putin, he can do whatever he wants. At least this is the impression I've got. Now, continue.